Aha! To my great surprise, Alex had a completely different set of stories I'd never heard before. So, in the first episode, it was largely events featuring him as a teenager and as a young man, focused around our parents. In the second episode, it was about him raising his family in a house that's had a lot of odd occurrences. In this third episode, it's about the things that have happened to him as a long time employee at the prison system in Georgia. I hope you enjoy it. And it turns out when he saw my brother Chris's information, it jogged his memory, and we'll actually have a fourth segment of things Alex wants to talk about from his childhood. Hope you enjoy these. All right, so after that's it for your house, but you say you've had some things happen at your place of employment.
Yeah, we've had some place. I work at the prison for 28 years now.
20 years. That was we always thought as a family that was just a temporary thing you were doing, and it turned out to be a long-term stable career that paid off well.
Lifetime, yeah. I'm still doing time, even to this day. But anyway, yeah, we've had a couple of people die in the prison. And we've nicknamed one of them particularly Big Willie, because after he died is when things started happening. And it was a traumatic death. He was supposed to get out in a couple of weeks, and he was overweight. So he put himself on a crash diet so he looked better when he got out of prison. Well, he was diabetic, and he didn't know it, and he wasn't diagnosed with it through diagnostics or anything like that. So when he put himself on a crash fasting diet, his diabetes killed him. He didn't recover from it. I remember the inmates carried him out of the dorm, put him in the hallway because he's dead. But anyway, that's when we had things happen. I was on night shift at the time, and I'm in the control room. One of the officers is doing our 12 o'clock count at night after lockdown, and he's calling it into the to me, the control room at the time. And I remember the door opening, just the doorknob of the control room, which is locked from the outside. You've got to have a key to get in, and there's no keys on the working keyboard for the control room. It's only emergency keys. So anyway, the doorknob turns, and the control room door opens just with force, just opens all the way up to the rails where I'm sitting, waiting for the call in for the next count, dorm count. And I didn't think anything of it, and I reached behind me and just closed the door back up. And then I realized that the door opened from the inside. So somebody was in here with me leaving, because the doorknob won't turn from the outside, only the inside. And what I heard was the doorknob turn from the inside and the door opened. So something was leaving instead of coming in. So anyway, that was one of the very first instances. Not short, that wasn't very long after the inmate had passed away.
That's wild, Alex.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay.
Matter of fact, I logged it in the control room because I remember calling the other officer that was doing the count at the time of the dorms. Let him know, hey man, we just had a ghost in here. And I remember logging it in the logbook. A control room door opened by itself. No incident happened, but just putting it in because it was a out of the ordinary incident.
You weren't worried about being ridiculed or being corrected and saying change your entry?
No, gosh, no. No,
it's interesting. Chris had a very similar, not similar, but his story about things scared him the most, and he was in the Air Force, and he went and told everybody exactly what happened. And I asked him, did anybody give you a hard time or ridicule you? And he said no. They expected that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more common than you think, especially if you think about the prison system. There's no real good people in there. There are people that broke the law. They're inheritively against the system, the rules. I guess that energy can attract different people, different things. But anyway, in the hallway and kitchen area, you'd see shadows going across after everything's shut down, lights are off, everything's, just emergency lights, night lights are on. You would see shadows going across the the wall. There was one particular time when the pots hanging in the tool room of the kitchen, because everything's shadow numbered, and the pots just started, making noise. They weren't moving. There was nothing going on like that, but they were ting, 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 like someone going across there with a hand or something hitting them, but they weren't moving. But I remember I got the heck out of there.
So it would sound as if they were banging against each other, but
there weren't. Yeah, it was just like, I don't know how to describe it, but something was making noise from them, but there wasn't any kind of movement associated with what you would expect.
Right.
So I remember, because I was logging in my tool check-in at the time. That's what you do in the prison system. You log your tools in per shift, everything, all accounted for, present. And I remember logging that in real quick after that, and boom, closing the door behind me and heading on out.
Right.
There was another time I was in the stock room in the kitchen of the prison. And at the time I had an inmate, a stockroom inmate, that was funny. He had a good sense of humor. Good, as far as that goes, he did his job. He did a good job. But I'm back there on one Friday evening, taking an afternoon, taking inventory for Monday, what I need to order and what, everything that we're short of. And I hear him walk up through the door of the stockroom. It's a big stockroom, for the prison. I hear him walking on up and stop walking, and I forget the inmate's name, but I called him by name and said, "Man, you got to be more quiet than that sneak up on me," because he was a jokester. He just had a sense of humor, which was okay. That's a good thing. But he didn't respond or anything. So I remember walking through the aisles looking for him, because it was just, there's walls here, aisles here. There wasn't anywhere like he could recircle around, and there was no one there. So I get to the opening of the stockroom door, and I look out in the kitchen, and I had two inmates that were in there working. I knew what they were doing, what they were working on. One was over in the pots and pans section, and he was still over there. The other one was at the steam kettle, cooking in there. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm just hearing things. So I walked back in the stockroom, take up where I left off, the inventory, and I hear the footsteps walk away just as they had walked up closer. But this time they were walking away, leaving. And I was like, okay, time to close up shop. I'm done. Because it was so distinctive that you heard them just as I heard them walk up. They were walking away. The footsteps were leaving, and it was just creepy because it's the only noise in the whole area. There's nothing, no background noise, nothing to misinterpret. It's a huge stockroom for a prison, and you're the only one in there. So it's just odd.
Yeah, it's clearly evidence that there's supernatural stuff happening.
Someone was walking around through there anyway. And we have other officers. There was one in particular time, shortly after who we call Big Willie had died. Someone had come up to the front office area in the front foyer where the warden, deputy warden, offices are, business manager and all. And he got on the radio and said, "Hey, we got someone up front, y'all." And this was early morning, so we knew no administration was there yet because they don't get there till like 8 o'clock. He hollers, "Hey, we got someone up front walking around." So a couple of us go up front to see who's in there visiting, because the front door's not locked, because we've got an oncoming shift and a shift that's going to shortly leave for work. And there was no one there. Just absolutely no one. We looked around, all the offices' doors are locked, the bathroom's locked, the conference room, and there was just nowhere for anyone to go. So we reviewed the cameras, and you can clearly see, we couldn't make out anybody. We couldn't make out the person at all, but you can see someone coming in the front door and going off to the offices.
So you sort of have a pixelated image or an impression.
Kind of a grainy, shadowy, or cloudy. I would call it more of a cloudy image, not pixelated, but more of just a shadowy, cloudy image of someone coming in the front foyer and heading off to the offices. But there was no one there.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
That is. What was the other thing we've had happen? We've had several things. We had an officer die. He had a massive heart attack as he was backing his van up after he dropped his inmates off. He actually died with his radio in his hand, just wasn't able to call for help because the heart attack took him over.
Wow.
Anyway, it was about 2 weeks later, our business manager says, hey, we just had a white van pass through going over to the maintenance shed, which is in front of the prison. You have to go through the parking lot and go off to the side to go to the maintenance shed. Anyway, he got on the radio and said, hey, we just had a white van go to the maintenance shed. You guys need to check it out. Because it just, he didn't recognize it. So we go over there, a couple of us go over and check, and there's no van anywhere. There's just nothing anywhere. And he's a real religious, not an outspoken kind of guy. But anyway, he said it looked like the officer's van that had just died 2 weeks earlier. He said, and that's the route he always took to go to the maintenance shed, drop the tools off that he had checked out that day, and then park his van. He said it looked just like that officer's van that had went by. And he's not one to call out things. I mean, it's just not his nature.
For him to say that story would have been, he's like, in his mind, this is absolutely certain. Otherwise, he wouldn't say it.
He was totally certain. So much so he got on our radio of the prison and said, hey, we just had a white van go through over to the maintenance shed, y'all. You guys, I don't recognize it. And it's not there. But he said it looked just like that officer's van that he had passed away. The van's not a ghost, so I can't explain it, but energies, I don't know.